This video ranks all 16 super troops in Clash of Clans to see which super troop you should be using right now. Let's jump into the F tier first, where we have the Super Giant. Despite its 10 housing space cost and its high HP, it usually is never worth using outside of Zap Witches at Town Hall 12. Realistically, there are better tanks that don't require the use of Dark Elixir to get, and there are just better and more flexible super troops to use. Also within the F tier is the Ice Hound. Despite this troop having the most HP of any troop and the freeze ability upon its death, it sadly just isn't worth using due to its 40 housing space cost, especially when the regular Lava Hound is not only cheaper, but does much better in terms of being more flexible and just all around a lot more useful. Next, we move to the C tier, where these troops are pretty niche, starting with the Super Valkyrie. Now, due to the current meta of the game, Super Valkyries have gotten a little bit better. Things like Mass Valk and Super Valks are very much possible, and Super Valks have that benefit of being a mobile rage spell and having more HP. The issue is the 20 housing space cost. Outside of a Mass Super Valk strategy or using 3 of them in a Mass Valkyrie, they're not really worth boosting up over using just regular Valkyries. Also within the C tier is the Inferno Dragon. Inferno Dragons are decent for removing things like the Town Hall if there's no air targeting defenses near them, and they're mainly used in their own skeleton spell Inferno Dragon. Despite all of this, it's not really that good compared to other super troops since it's not as flexible. Additionally, we got the Super Miner within the C tier. Thanks to hero equipment, this super troop is slightly more viable than it used to be, especially within a queen charge, but it's still lacking due to its high housing space cost, making it less desirable compared to the regular version. Next, we move to the B tier, where these are solid choices to use in different attacks, starting with the Super Dragons. The Super Dragons are still very strong, especially with its ability to deal a lot of damage and tank for a long period of time. And they are pretty good against box-style bases. They still live within the shadow of their regular counterpart, the regular dragon. Despite that though, they work extremely well with the Recall Queen Walk attacks, where they can take full advantage of the box base's weaknesses. Additionally, within the B tier, we got the Super Wizard. While mainly good in the Battle Blimp, he can be used elsewhere, such as within a Witch Spam arm, where you can mix in Super Wizards with the Witches for a powerful combo. Additionally, you can use him with Golems and P.e.k.k.as to create the Super Go Wipe, which is a meme army. However, the main way you're going to use him is within a Blizzard, where you can get amazing value on clumped up defenses. Just be very careful of bomb towers and traps like Giant Bomb and Small Bombs. Other than that, he isn't really going to be one that you want to boost a majority of the time. We also have the Super Minion going within the B tier. Very similar to Super Wizards, its main role is to be used within the Blimp to remove value within a Super Minion Bomb or to pair with Super Wizards to create a powerful Blizzard. However, you can run this outside of that to snipe off defenses and buildings. When something like a Siege Barrack or Flame Flinger pops open, the use of them is incredibly good. Other than that, they might not be the best choice to be using a majority of the time, similar to the Super Wizards. Next up is the A tier. These are very strong units with very strong use cases for a good chunk of attacks, starting with the Rocket Balloons. The Rocket Loon has amazing synergy with Fireball related attacks. Now, while outside of that it might not be particularly amazing, the Rocket Loon still fills a role specifically to surgically destroy defenses. And of course, they can't be used everywhere. They're incredibly strong compared to the regular balloon due to their higher DPS and crash damage. The Super Hog Rider is also going to be within the A tier. The Super Hog Rider being 2 troops in 1 is really helpful as you can get plenty of value. It's extremely strong within the Twin Hog army along with the Mass Super Hog army. It can be used even within the Siege Barrack or Flame Flinger as additional support. Since its main role is either as a damage dealer or support within the CC, you can really use this quite often, but it won't be amazing for every army like an E-Drag army. Additionally, we have the Super Bowler within the A tier. The Super Bowler has remained one of the best super troops for its sheer damage output under Rage, and while they are still amazing for any player, they have slowly fell behind due to there being just stronger Smash troops. Additionally with this, they can die fairly early on if you're not careful, so you always have to be very aware of these things. Regardless of that, they still remain a top tier choice that anyone can use. Now we move to the S tier, the best super troops that are either super strong right now or very flexible, starting with the sneaky Goblin. Not much needs to be said about this little guy, as he can very easily get you loot, which is great, but can also provide amazing funneling against resource buildings like collectors or storages if they're on the outside of the base. Since they only cost 3 housing space, they remain one of the best ways if you need to funnel fast. Additionally, we got the super wall breakers within the S tier. These little guys will get you into the base a majority of the time. Not really much has to be said other than that, since he provides the best way to get into the base once you hit Town Hall 11 and is used in a large majority of armies, making him extremely flexible. We also have the Super Barbarians going into the S tier. This troop is super flexible in nearly every army due to its cheap 5 housing space cost, along with its rage ability. It will easily set a funnel regardless of the army, so oftentimes it is worth boosting. The Super Archer also deserves the S tier position. Unlike the Super Wizard and Super Minion, it's incredibly strong within the blimp and doesn't die super easily to traps or bomb towers. Additionally, it covers the single target and splash damage all in one due to its piercing shot. It's going to mainly be used in Hydra armies, but can often be flexible with other attacks, or even used within something like a Super Archer Smash at lower tunnel levels, or even behind tanks at higher tunnel levels, making them a worthy super troop to use. And lastly, we have the Super Witch going into the S tier as one of the best super troops in the game. Super Witches with the Fireball have become one of the strongest combinations within Clash of Clans. The Super Witches, they might not be super flexible like all 4 of these other super troops. However, the strength is really just unmatched, especially with the Fireball and the Druids, giving your Super Witches massive value. If you have one army that you want to use between Town Hall 12 and Town Hall 16, this super troop is the right one for you, especially since it's buffed to where it can spawn big boys sooner after they die. And here is the list for 2024 with all 16 super troops. Feel free to screenshot it if you're planning on sharing this, especially on Reddit. And hopefully this video gives you an idea of some of the top super troops right now, especially within this pretty easy meta. Leave a comment down below on which other topics you want me to rank next, but you may want to check out my recent Town Hall 16 top 5 video if you want the best armies for you to use at Town Hall 16 and arguably at Town Hall 15 too.